you just saw Kira stuff her face with whipped cream. So, not stuff her face, she's really skinny with it.
You sound like you're gulping something, right?
It's the whipped cream. It's the whipped cream. But a lot of people really like whipped cream. Some people might even become addicted. Not here, that's cool. But you know something that you should have become addicted to?
Drugs!
Babes!
Meds.
Meth.
Just like addiction, being addicted to anything is bad because it's an over version of it, but some of it can be really deadly, which would be meth.
Or like any type of substance abuse or anything. But in this specific case, meth. Because our topic for today is a book about substance abuse, specifically methamphetamine, called Beautiful Boy by John. Nope, not by John.
Published.
Yeah. We read this book for our English class, and here's our review of it. So, today we'll be answering three questions, okay? We'll be answering three questions.
A few questions we received in the comment section down below.
Oh, by your guys' recommendation.
So the first question we're going to be talking about is, what are some possible big ideas that our book, Beautiful Boy, addresses? And which big idea stands out and why? I would say that the biggest topic, I guess what David Sheff was trying to achieve in this book at least, was to, inform people about the effects of drugs, which makes sense. It's a memoir about his real life and his son and stuff. I will say though, while it did include a lot of the effects and stuff, I don't know, something about it was addressed, but it felt empty. Oh my goodness. It stood out to me just because, that was what the whole book was about. But I guess I don't know. You'll hear about this more later. Trust.
I do think the main idea was supposed to be about drug abuse, especially since it is a memoir within your family and how the only victims aren't the abusers but also those who love the abusers. But something that stood out to me was connecting with your family. The lack of connection that David had with Nick, his son, who was abusing substances, was astronomical to me. Okay, he was already far away as is after the divorce that happened in the book, but the fact that his son got drunk when he was 11, and then he told us nothing. There was a part of the book where he's talking about how bad his son looks and just doesn't talk to him. I feel like communication is key. That's a very popular saying, and that's a key in every relationship, including father and son relationship.
Yeah, so following up on that, I noticed that in the book, he was most of it was just research about drug addiction. It's very informing, but connection. Where's the connection? Concept of connection. So the big idea is just about addiction, how bad it can be, the effects and whatnot about it, how it affects your family, and please, if you're addicted, please go talk to your family. Don't just sit there.
Don't isolate yourself. And if you're a parent, talk to your kid.
Exactly.
Don't talk to your kid. Talk with your kid. Bars. Question number 2. The second question that we're going to be talking about is, all the books, every single book has some kind of obstacle that the main character or main characters are going through. What would you say the main obstacle in this book would be, and how does the main characters handle it, and would you have handled it any differently?
So, Chef was not really communicating with his son. He was telling the readers, the audience, about how frail and pale his how frail and pale Nick was, instead of going to him and asking constantly, "Are you okay? Is there anything I can do for you?" Or do you want to eat something? Do you want to drink something? Not beer, okay? And Chef is dealing with his son constantly relapsing and breaking into his house at a few points and whatnot. And then it goes to Nick saying, "Oh, I'll be fine. Okay, I'll go into rehab and do whatever stuff they do in rehab, because I don't know what they do in rehab." And yeah, honestly,
how would you handle it?
If I had a child that was addicted to some kind of drug, I would first talk to them, ask them what made them choose to do drugs.
I definitely agree with you on talking okay, again, the same obstacle. I read the obstacle. The solution was addicted and then rehab. But also going off your talking to your child, I would also talk to my child as well. If my child got drunk at the age of 11, I've already mentioned it once, but it's baffling to me. I know 11 years old is when you start developing, but you have a brain at that point. You know that getting drunk is wrong at your age, so they know what they're doing. Most actions tend to be intentional, especially around that age. So I would have a serious talk about what's happening. Are you facing any issues or anything? What made you do this? When, where, why, how?
Okay, I think the main idea of this book is obviously Nick's addiction and how it's affecting David. That's the main obstacle, but another obstacle that comes into play is their lack of connection, I fear. I truly believe, and okay, maybe I wouldn't be a good parent for this, maybe I would be, who knows, I don't know. But what I'm saying, if I was in David's position and this was my child, I would, guys, connect with your kid. I'm just saying, David, he let his child at 17 or 20 something, who was going through a vapid addiction, he let him have an apartment. He was clean for 17 months, and while that is very good, I think it is important to have trust in your kids. Obviously, don't be on them about, yeah, don't do that. But I think you should, at least to a degree, make sure you know what your kids are doing, and make sure that you know what level your child is at in regards to such serious topics as these. Because the last question that we will be addressing will be our personal review of this book.
Okay, I'm gonna I'm gonna go both harsh and like not harsh because it is a memoir, it is a real story. But like full honesty, my main issue is the lack of perspective. It is a memoir, and obviously it's about the person who wrote the memoir. Is that Uber Eats? No, it's not. It's about the person who wrote the memoir, but it's something about drug addiction, and it's about like being the person in the family. It's also like important to mention why someone did the drug in the first place. We don't know anything about Nick aside from the fact that he abused substances. We don't know why he did it, what happened to him in California, what his underlying issues were. I think it's important because although his book may have helped people, I feel like it could also help people in the future if it were to happen to them. But because of this lack of perspective, we weren't able to. And I know you guys were kind of annoyed with how it's kind of repetitive, but I will admit that I also find it a bit annoying because we didn't have anything else going, but it was one of the more realistic factors. But I feel like through every single page, I just got more annoyed because I could sense and feel the lack of understanding and connection through like just the pages. What about like you guys?
I did find the book pretty repetitive, and in full honesty, I would give this maybe like two. Maybe I'd go as high as a 5, guys. Not high.
Don't hide.
But I will say, it was realistic. This is a very realistic book when it comes to depicting addiction, especially
The reality.
people will go through addiction, and maybe they will become clean, but in a lot of cases it doesn't last for long. And so this book did a really good job at showing that rawness, basically, the true reality. It's not like a one and done type of thing. It's something that a lot of people struggle with and go back to, which I really did like. I will admit it was a bit repetitive, but my main issue with this book was the way David was like handling this. If I'm going to be entirely honest, I didn't like the fact that he was so lenient. Like I understand having trust in your kid. That's a very good thing, and you should 100% have trust in your kid. But I will say,
I also didn't mention this before, but David's best friend died of drug abuse. I feel like David should have had like more like, okay, I know he's a real person, not a character, but if I was literally David, it wasn't just me, then I feel like you would know signs of your child being a drug user, your own best friend. I feel like, I don't know if this is for everyone, but I think especially goes for dads. They were probably closer to their best friends than they ever would be to their child. So, like the fact that he has experience and wasn't like, I know being like upset and defeated over your child using, but if you've experienced it with yourself or someone, which he's done both, then you should have more understanding as compared to someone else.
100%. That's what I was thinking, guys. Oh my goodness, connect with your child. That's all I have to say.
Me and her are connecting. Your time to connect. Like,
So, going back to what Kira said, she mentioned what made me think about is like David, yes, he has more experience with this, and I feel like he should have taken more action with his child, Nick, and and then my overall video, rate it like I guess a 4 out of 10. The drug info was amazing, but yeah, I personally learned a lot about like drugs in the book. But like the only critique I can really give is that I feel like David, before he wrote this book, I feel like he should have called up his mother, Nick's mother, and like see his side. See her side as well before, so he can like write down her thoughts as well, what Nick went through with his mother, and might have mentioned the dad and mom are divorced. So
there was a stepdad in the picture too. That's also important to mention.
Yeah. So we also have to know what's going on with Nick, with his mother and stepdad. We need that perspective too. And I get that this is a memoir made by David, but like as I said earlier, he should have called up Nick's mom and like discussed.
Talk to her, right? Yeah. Did you guys? Okay, the book. We have finished the book. Did you guys find it fulfilling? How'd you wish it ended?
Okay, it's a memoir, but this is like an issue that I not only have with this book, but like multiple shows. The ending.
I will read the last paragraph of this book. Okay. In the morning, the garden is swayed by a lazy fog. Karen got up early to drive Daisy to her swim team practice. Jasper's upstairs noodling on his guitar. I called Nick to say hi. We talk a while. He sounds like Nick, my son, back. What's next? We'll see. Before hanging up, he says, give Karen, Jas, and Daisy my love. Then he says he has to go.
Do you find that fulfilling?
Okay, I understand like the whole like happy ending type stuff, but I hate like when it doesn't mention the struggles, because like the point in the end is to be happy, but you should also remember everything you've gone through, and I feel like it kind of downplays like other emotions.
I did not find, okay, it was a good book. Maybe a 5 out of 10, but that ending, I feel like I didn't find it fulfilling. I would have reflected on what happened. I feel like that's a really important part when ending a book, is to really reflect on it. Because okay, maybe the reader does that by themselves, but I think it's important like for the ending to be like fulfilling and like leaving a lasting impact. This was like an everyday interaction, and maybe that's what he intended for. Maybe not, but
Like
personally,
normal.
yeah, personally, I just didn't find that fulfilling. I wish he would have talked about how Nick was doing now, and I wish he was gonna talk about how everybody was affected and how everybody learned and grew and changed, but it just whatever.
I don't like how David said, oh, he gotta go. You gotta go. What was that ending, I guess?
The concept of not communicating with your child who has a drug abuse addiction.
Like, I mean, I guess he only mentioned, like, I checked up on Nick and asked him if he was okay, but that was, like, only a few times, and not really, like, going into actual detail.
Connecting with your child when they're younger is so important, because that's when they're developing in the future.
And that's when they learn. And that's when they'll learn how they view you. Do they view you as a parent that'll shut them out completely? Do they view you as a parent who will talk to them? Do they view you as a parent that'll only say, are you okay? Oh, yeah? Okay. And then just leave. Communicate. Talk. Connect. Perspective. Thank you for watching.
I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Tell us what you want on the next one.
Turn this off. Turn.